The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Before we get started, we just want to do a little sound check to make sure everyone on the webinar can hear us. So if you can please raise your hand using the hand icon, that'll let us know that you can hear my voice. Perfect, got a couple hands raised, thank you. So welcome and thank you for attending the Colorado Office of Combative Sports and Colorado Combative Sports Commission's stakeholder meeting via webinar today. Before we get started, we'd like to introduce the staff members from the Division of Professions and Occupations that are present. My name is Elena Kemp, and I'm a regulatory coordinator with the division. Also attending, we have Anthony Cummins, he's a senior program director, and Darcy Magnuson, she's a regulatory analyst. In compliance with the governor's orders regarding COVID-19, the division has transitioned to a platform that is 100% virtual, and we appreciate your flexibility. As many of you have been to DORA's stakeholder meetings before, we'd like to reiterate the importance of your comments today. DORA makes decisions every day that may affect your life and your business, so your input is vital in the rulemaking process. Throughout this process, our goal is to create regulations that clarify and explain legislation, ensure minimum competency to enter and continue to practice, and provide only what is absolutely necessary for consumer protection without creating unnecessary barriers to the marketplace. Your input will be part of the information that goes to the Commission as it considers adopting revisions to the rules. More specifically, today we will be discussing the proposed changes to multiple rules in compliance with Section 24.4.103.3 CRS. This section mandates a regularly scheduled review of the rules to assess the continuing need, appropriateness, and cost-effectiveness of the rules to determine if they should be continued in their current form, modified, or repealed. The statutorily guided principles for review ensure that the rules are necessary, do not overlap or duplicate other rules of the agency, federal, state, or local government rules, are written in plain language and are easy to understand, achieve the desired intent and determine if more or less regulation is necessary, are amended to provide more flexibility, reduce regulatory burdens, and reduce unnecessary paperwork or steps, if at all possible, while maintaining their benefits. These more of the guided principles are implemented in an efficient and effective manner, including the requirements for the issuance of permits and licenses, that they have a timely cost-benefit analysis produced, if requested, pursuant to Section 24.4.103.2.5, and are adequate for protection of the safety, health, and welfare of the state or its residents. This meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the program's website by the close of business tomorrow. And as the stakeholder meeting is held solely via webinar, please raise your hand by using the hand icon if you'd like to speak, and we will unmute your line so you'll be heard by everyone. Or you can type your question or your comment in the question section and we'll read it aloud. Before we start taking comments, I want to ask that everyone that is planning on providing comments, please state your name and who you represent. Feel free to provide either general comments on the rule changes or specific comments on the proposed language. Please limit your comments to 3 to 5 minutes or less, and try not to repeat something that was already said. If you're just stating you're in full agreement with someone else, that is fine, and we will note it. Just a couple of ground rules. If you are using audio through your computer, please remember to put any phones on vibrate or turn them off. And whether or not you're using computer or phone audio, try to keep all background noises to a minimum when speaking. So at this point, we have a couple of people on the webinar, and we are opening the session up for discussion.
And Elena, what I'm going to go ahead and do, thank you for that, is I'm showing the statute, which is the same criteria that you already went through, that the Commission will be viewing the rules in light of these factors when they're looking at rule changes at the hearing in April. But I'm just going to walk through the rules really quickly and point out what changes were made and kind of the basis behind that, and then we can go ahead and take comments from stakeholders. So as you can see here, and these are the rules that were posted in advance of the meeting today. What we did is we renumbered and reformatted the rules so that they match the Secretary of State styling manual. As you likely recall, you can see here that these rules were in chapter format, which is not how the Secretary of State prefers them to be. So we just updated them to match the styling guideline, added the authority, scope, and purpose and applicability at the beginning so that when readers take a look at these rules, it's clear the statutory authority under which these rules were adopted by the commission, and then also so that people can look at the statute, understanding that both the statute and rules are applicable to combative sports. As we move down, you can see that where we struck, and I want to just point out too, these are all proposed changes that the commission will consider. The rulemaking won't happen until April, which is why we're having stakeholders weigh in now. But these strikeouts were because these terms were already defined in statute. And as you recall seeing on the statutory criteria list for the rule review, it specifically points out that the rules should not duplicate statute. So we went ahead and struck that out and then made a note of where it was in the statute for reference. Again here, so you can follow the comments with the strikeouts. This was a question about moving this to make it easier to read. So we'll continue to talk about that, but the substance wouldn't change. And then the update to the new, for this is the incorporation by reference, to the newly updated rules that became effective July 1st, 2020, that previously were effective August 1st, 2018. So just updating those. I'm scrolling quickly because there aren't any substantive changes here. I'll pause where there are. And again, it's all numbering and formatting changes. We also are looking at putting the statutory authority at the beginning of every rule. So this rule is promulgated pursuant to, and then including the statutory authority there. So that will be a change that you likely see in advance of the rulemaking hearing, but it will just, like I said, point to the statute that allows the commission to promulgate that specific rule. Here's another incorporation by reference update, just to make sure the rules are current with the standards that the commission would like to be controlling. Again, incorporation by reference. This is the same one that we already noted above, but making sure it's consistent throughout the rules. Same here. This is a new addition, so I just wanted to point that out in case stakeholders want to weigh in on that regarding the record keeping database. This little highlight here is just so that We go back in and correct all the cross-references throughout the rules. As you can see here, this still refers to chapters, so just making sure once the rules are in a good format and ready for presentation to the commission at the rulemaking hearing that we've updated all of the cross-references within the rules. Another incorporation by reference update. Same here. And that takes us to the end. So that just provides you with a summary of the proposed changes that were made. So at this point in time, we will open the floor to any stakeholders who want to weigh in or provide feedback that will be then presented to the commission in advance of the rulemaking hearing. I'm not seeing any hands raised or any written comments received. So we'll just pause for, oh, looks like we have potentially a hand raised. Mr. James Smith, I don't know, looks like you do have your hand raised. I'm gonna go ahead and unmute you. All right, you're free to speak, Mr. Smith.
Good morning. This is James Smith, my promoter with the Poor Boys Pro Boxing. With me is my partner, Juan Rivera. I appreciate the opportunity to get some insight, and I think the best thing I can do is after this conversation, I'll make sure I get a copy of everything, and then we can get back with our director, Mr. Cummings, on any questions, so I don't make it a longer day than what it could possibly be. I don't know if this question's outlined or not. I know it's a rules meeting, but I kind of feel rules and regulations, we need them, but if we're not boxing, is there any idea when, and I know that a lot of that question is dependent upon the COVID problem we have, but is there any idea when we may get back to action? I guess we just changed to blue color for the state. I called several times to Tri-County and other agencies, health department agencies, to see if I can get some insight on when we'd be able to get back to holding a promotion. And lastly, I would like to know, like I know my show was scheduled for the 2 days before we shut down, and I know I paid all the fees, the licensing fee, etc. I paid insurances. And incidentally, give you a little insight on this. This is directed to Mr. Cummings. One of the insurance companies has filed a bankruptcy that we're insuring the fight. So I don't know if we'll be out money there too, but that's about it. I'll get a copy of the rules and regulations, and then I can get back with Mr. Cummings on an individual basis. And I would just like to know some insight when we might fight again, and if there will be fees that were paid, will they be carried over, or are they just lost and forfeited? Thank you.
Thank you. I don't have the information on your questions, but I was going to say maybe Tony can answer that.
Yeah, Jim, I don't have any indication as of yet when we'll be open. I've seen a little bit of movement as far as a little bit more flexibility, but I don't have any hard timeline. So that answers the first question. The second question is, yeah, if you paid for an event permit, it'll carry over into whenever we open up again.
All right, Tony, thank you. That's pretty much what I thought. Like I said, the rules and regulations, there's not too much difference. We went over this before and we discussed at length what it does and doesn't cover. If I have any particular questions, I'll get directly with you on that later on. But thanks for communicating with us during this long span. And I'm glad to hear that we get some feedback. I know that, like I said, one of the insurance companies, where a lot of them that had prepaid, they were going to carry me over to the next event. And then there was some bankruptcies filed, which I have copies of if you're interested. I'll send them to you. But you've answered as many questions as I have right now, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we had a written comment from Mr. Stephen Blair. This is Stephen Blair. I want to say I loved everything is written so much easy to understand. Thank you for that. So it looks like we may have had one more person join us. At this point in time, we're just seeking feedback on the proposed changes that are showing on the screen and that were posted in advance of today's meeting. So if anyone else wants to provide any input, now is your opportunity. And you can do that by raising your hand or typing into the question function, and we can read that out loud for the recording.
And this is Elena. I just wanted to remind everyone on the webinar that the red line changes are the proposed changes that the division has made to follow the principles that for review, as Darcy showed on the screen earlier. But also the commission does accept just recommendations on any rule changes that you think should be considered. So if there's something in the rules during this collaborative process that you think that should be changed or considered or relooked at, this would also be that time for you to weigh in and provide some input on additional changes that you might see.
We have another written comment question from Stephen Blair. I think the biggest question we had last time is about boxer competing in these events. Are they considered pros?
No, I think we addressed that last time. This is Tony. I think we addressed that last time and we carved out pros versus elimination fighters.
So I think, Elena, since we don't have any more comments or hands raised, I think it would be good to wrap up at this point in time. I say that and then a written question comes in. Hold on 1 second. Stephen, Blair, I still have people asking about being eligible for amateur events like Golden Gloves and USA Boxing.
This is Tony again. My understanding from USA Boxing is that if they compete as an elimination fighter on the state card, they're not eligible to compete in Golden Gloves or in a USA Boxing event, but that's not something that's jurisdictional to the commission. That's USA Boxing specific.
Okay, this is Elena. There's no further hands raised. There's no other written comments. Look, there's another one. We do have a written comment from Mr. Stephen Blair. Is there a way we can let these people know? Some don't go to the website or go on the website. And Mr. Blair, if you would like to speak, we can definitely unmute your line if that's easier. Okay. It looks like you're not connected to audio.
So this is Tony again, and that's something that's jurisdictional, or that's USA Boxing kind of umbrella to do. It's my understanding that they've done that already, but if they haven't, I can definitely touch base with the president of USA Boxing and see if he can do that.
And it does look like Mr. Blair would like to speak, but you are not connected to audio. So if you can connect to audio, we'll be able to unmute you on our end. All right, we have another. We'll come back to you, Mr. Blair. I'm not sure what your screen looks like, so I apologize. I'm not able to troubleshoot and help you. But if you click on the audio, you should be able to figure out from there. We have a hand raised by Mr. James Smith. I'm going to unmute your line now.
I'm going to be signing you off, and I'm computer illiterate, and it's the first time I've ever had to have this set up for me and communicate with you today. But Tony, just so you know that I mentioned about the insurance companies, just for your information, I know they cover a lot of different events for different promoters. That was Gagliardi Insurance that filed the bankruptcy. I received a letter from Federal Bankruptcy Court notifying me that they had. So that's just general information for you, but it might be of benefit. I have copies if you need it, but that they sent out. I'm going to sign off or end my conversation and get off the computer. Thank everybody there for your time and efforts. Stay healthy.
Thank you. Okay, I think we have waited and we don't have any other stakeholders that want to provide comments, so we'll wrap up the meeting. Thank you for participating in today's meeting. As part of this collaborative process, all written and oral comments and program recommendations will be provided to the Commission for review and consideration before the permanent rulemaking hearing, which is tentatively scheduled for April 13th, 2021. That concludes this stakeholder meeting, and thank you again for your participation. We're going to exit and end the webinar now.